Good evening, everyone. My name is Smita Biswas, and by profession, I'm a voice and accent and soft skills trainer with an MNC, and by passion, I am a Kathak and Odissi dancer. I'm going to introduce you today with our author, Deepti Naval. Deepti is an Indian actor, director, writer, painter, and a photographer. Deepti has carved a distinct niche for herself in the Indian film industry, winning critical acclaim for her sensitive and close to life portrayals that emphasize the changing role of women in India. Deepti made her debut in the year 1980 with the path-breaking film Ek Baar Phir, and has ever since appeared in more than 90 films. As a writer, she has 3 books to her credit. Her first collection of poems, Lamha Lamha, published in 1981, Black Wind and Other Poems in 2004, and The Mad Tibetan, Story from Then and Now in 2011. Her poems are reflective, sometimes biographical, and constitutes a direct and honest female voice. A graduate of the Hunter College City University of New York, Deepti acquired her bachelor's degree in fine arts, studying painting as her major subject, along with psychology, astronomy, and American theater. As a painter, her knife work with oil and canvas is distinctly expressionistic. About the book. The Country Called Childhood is a beautifully told memory of growing up in Amritsar in the tumultuous 1950s and 60s. It shows how Deepti's early love affair with cinema and experiences of her childhood shaped her career as one of the country's most admired actors. This session will be moderated by Reena Pereira, and here is a little introduction of our moderator. Reena is a human resource and communications professional. She has held senior leadership positions in leading multinationals with an active role in diversity and inclusion. She currently contributes to the Women's Commission on key issues that uplift the girl child and empower women. Reena is an active contributor to the field of literature and autobiographies, and memories being her poncho. An introduction to our book partner. Our book partner for today is Bookworm Bangalore. Bookworm is a paradise for book lovers located in Church Street in the heart of Bangalore. They have been actively conducting book launches and played host to many celebrity authors. The owner, Krishna, is fondly known as Bookman of Bangalore and has recently completed 25 years in the field. Introduction to our technology and event partners, PPDC Events. PPDC is an events company into a vast array of events. Their clientele includes luxury weddings, high-end corporates, and large institutions for whom they have been directing shows with scripted storyline and high-tech video backdrops to complement their performances. PPDC Events has recently moved into organizing book launches for artists who have turned writers. The team is headed by Preetha Pereira Bajikal, who is a celebrity choreographer for music videos and events and a creative producer for Triangle Films Mumbai. I now hand over to the moderator Reena Pereira to commence the book discussion.
So, good evening, everyone, and thank you once again for joining us on a weekday evening to have the book release of Deepti Naval. So, once again, welcome, Deepti. to all of you. This is the Bangalore edition of Deepti's book release. We are talking about this book, A Country Called Childhood, in affiliation with Bookworm and PPDC events. Deepti, over to you now. You could have chosen to bask in your cinematic glory. I think over 40 years of acting?
Yes, 40 years.
40 years. But you've released a memoir, and this memoir is almost nothing about you and your cinematic glory, but it is a record of your life in Amritsar. And at a time when our nation was on the cusp and brink of a new beginning, I learned a lot through your book. It was a partial textbook and a partial recollection of the past. First of all, I'd like to open it up for you to say hi to your fans and opening comments.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here chatting with Reena. I've been nervous about this because this is the first time I'm doing a Zoom chat. I've been asked so many times, let's do an interview, let's do online. I don't know how to do all that, but today I think we are going to be all right.
There's always a first time, and I forgot to mention, this is Deepti's first live virtual event. So I've seen her in person a couple of times, but this is the first live event where we have audiences here. And I look forward to your questions at the end of the book discussion. So do keep your questions ready. Pin it up on the chat. You're welcome to write it on the chat anytime. And Deepti's book is diverse. So we'll go through various sections. And if I see something that is relevant to the conversation at present, we need not even wait for the question and answer session. You would be unmuted and you would be allowed to ask your question. Please keep your videos on. Let's keep it interactive, but we'll have the questions more towards the end. So this is the first question I have for you, Deepti. Let's talk about your early days as a child. Your elder sister, Smriti, would summon you to just become stupid at the drop of a hat.
Smriti, S-M-I-T-I.
Okay, Smriti would summon you to just become stupid and then become all right. So we are talking about the art of Tutlana that you developed over time, which means speaking like a toddler, and you were disconnecting from the previous creature of a minute ago. When someone asks you where you acquired your craft as a performer, you have no qualms in editing, in crediting these days as your acting workshop.
Absolutely, because it was like action and cut. You know, she would once, we'd be studying together in the green room upstairs, and when she would get bored, she would say, Deepi, come on now, do this little act, Chuchi Banja. So I would start, not stuttering, but Putlana, and narrate something silly, with that kind of, leja. So this would entertain my sister. And once she'd had enough of me, she would say, okay, now, theek ho ja. And immediately I had to be okay and we'd both go back to our books. So I always have felt that I never had any formal training as an actor. And these were my earliest workshops in acting.
Now you mentioned the word called green room, and that's not what everybody is thinking here. Green room was his personal room, which he
No, our study.
Okay,
both of us, the room upstairs on the terrace, the first floor, Barsati, that room was supposed to be our study room. And because it was painted green, I called it the green room.
Deepti can call it a study room now, but what actually happened was she spent a lot of time with her actors and actresses there. In the name of studying, I think you cut through magazines and stuck them on cupboards. And what was it like?
Yeah, Mama would make sure that we are both up there with our books and, doing our homework, right, and everything. And my sister, Didi, she would be very meticulously studying. She would be, sort of learning her lessons, and to be very sincere about the homework and the books and the study. I'd be sitting in front of now, this little cupboard that I had, wooden cupboard, usko aise khol ke, I would be cutting pictures of actors and actresses from that picture post and film fair, and I'd be sticking them inside on the inside, so nobody saw it. Yeah, so I had all these actresses, their pictures, and I would change them and I would fix them and properly. I mean, I was forever indulgent, and that was my major mental occupation.
Let's take a bit now and get to your parents, and that is a chapter in itself. You say your mother taught you simplicity, which was the micro. You always remember her painting and knitting and sitting against the light and pursuing her hobbies, and that's where you learned the micro.
My mother, no, no, my mother was a hugely talented artist. She was very, very talented. Not simplicity. She taught me aesthetics. I learned aesthetics from her. You know, she had very fine sensibility. She was a very sophisticated woman because she had gone to a Catholic school in Burma where she was born and brought up. And we, of course, me and my sister were also going to the Sacred Heart Convent. But mama, mama was different from the women around in the area, in the space where we were growing up. She was different, and she was a great nature lover and a lover of beauty. And those are the things that I picked up from her: how to look for beauty in small things, in the little things. That's what I picked up from my mother. And like I said, my father taught us the macro, and my mother introduced us to the micro. That's the difference. He was a academic. He was an intellectual. He was, you know, a teacher. Both of them were teachers, but he was the academic, you know.
The academic person. He acquired his master's in English honors. He published a booklet for which Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, the then president or the future president of India at that time, wrote the foreword.
He would come out with a journal called Joy of Art.
Yes, so emigrated to the US, completed his PhD at the advanced age of 64, and even came out with a publication for which he received a letter of appreciation from our Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru.
Yeah, in the later years, he did a major work. His main academic work was a study, a book called Striped Zebra, The Immigrant Psyche. This is what he did in the last 15 years, in the latter part of his life. He did this major study, and it was a very hugely research-oriented book called Striped Zebra, The Immigrant Psyche. So that's my
you did speak about your mother being in Burma, and her Burma stories formed your mental makeup as a child. Your mother's parents experienced tremendous loss in life. They came to Calcutta on a steamer, went to Lahore. They walked for 2 months when they reached Burma to India. And her yearning to go back to Burma affected you so greatly that after 60 years, you took her back to Mandalay.
I brought her back, yes. I somehow took it upon myself that to make sure that she visited the country of her birth, you know, because she was always yearning. She would always say Burma was Burma. You know, she loved being there. She was very saddened by the fact that she had to leave Burma, and the family had to leave because of World War II. They had to, you know, there was this huge exodus of Indians from Burma in 1942, and the whole family came across. They walked over the Assam hills, the jungles of Nagaland and Manipur, and that's how they landed back, finally in Punjab, in Mukeria, from where they then, I mean, there's displacement in the family, like inherently. I think that tragedy kind of runs its thread. That thread runs through the family history, you know, this thread of displacement, which I used to find very dramatic and very, very intriguing. It would sadden her when she would talk about it. And I found a lot of, I used to love the stories of this exodus. I used to love the whole, I would hear them over and over and say, Mama, tell me about that story. How Badi Mummy, my nanny, how she carried the gramophone.
You wrote a quasi-fictional account about it.
Yes.
I read that, yeah.
Yes. In my class in New York, I wrote my first essay was Little Woman and the Gramophone.
Read that, yeah.
My nanny's experience.
And you've reproduced almost the entire thing in the book as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Now let's talk about your paternal grandfather and grandmother. Your paternal grandfather was a leading criminal lawyer in Amritsar, And your paternal grandmother was the founder of the Women's Conference in Punjab. She was a feminist even before the word was invented. And to all those listening, we are talking about the 1930s and 40s. She worked on promoting widow remarriage, abolishing child marriage, and stopping domestic women ill treatment. In addition, both your grandparents were on opposite sides of the political spectrum,
Yeah.
one with Congress and the other with RSS. They were given political tickets to fight local elections, and they were up against each other. And yet they had a successful marriage
Yes.
and allowed themselves to express themselves freely. How impossible was that?
I don't know. I think it's most fascinating, especially in today's scenario. When I think about that equation between my
Yeah.
Dada, Bauji, and BBG, they would sit across the dining table, they would discuss, they would listen to each other's point of view. They would discuss, the scenario at that time, and it was fine. It was fine that the other person thinks differently, perceives things differently. For my Dadaji and for my Dadi both. I mean, it really fascinates me today. They were people who, not only that they even practiced what they preached. My father took 1 rupee as the Dahej when he married my mother. 1 rupee as token.
Token dowry, you wrote it.
Yes, dowry. Yes.
And even changed his name from Sharmaji to Naval.
Yeah. He said, everyone on the streets of Amritsar is a Sharmaji. I don't want to be.
So we move on to a section on mental health, which is what we hear very often, even from celebrities today. So you've had your share, you and your family have had your share of difficulties as well. And difficulties and trauma spares no one today, not even celebrities. Here are a few instances that you went through that we'll talk about in this section. So Deepti, after your sister and you were born, you went through the trauma of 3 infants passing away, siblings passing away in your family, with the last one making it for just 8 months, but did not make it out of hospital. And that was a huge trauma on your mother. So can you talk about infant deaths at that time?
Yes. There was no proper facilities, I believe, in Amritsar, in VB Hospital where I was born also. And these babies would not survive beyond a few days. And Mama would just come back home. We'd be excited. We were little now at that time. We'd be excited. We would be told, okay, you're going to have a sister or a brother. Those days you never knew kya hai, kya nahi. So we'd be excited, but Mama would come back empty-handed, as I tried to describe one of the times when she came home, and I was very excited. And then it was the child, the brother next to me, after me, was a baby called Sunny.
Yes.
Sunny lived for 8 months. And I call that chapter 8 months of breathlessness, because they would have a certain ailment where the stomach would be distended and they couldn't breathe properly. The babies would not be able to breathe. So I don't know what there was another name for it in medical terms, but that death affected my mother most, because she was able to hold him. She was able to have Sunny with her for 8 months. So when she would describe, she would continue to, even when she was old, she would go back and describe to me Sunny's death. And I always imagined Sunny's death, basically, as a writer, I would take the liberty and imagine Sunny's death from Sunny's point of view after he died. As soon as he leaves his body, I start to imagine what Sunny is going through now, while his mother is holding him and she's weeping and she's wailing. What is Sunny feeling? He's able to breathe. He's able to breathe now. So that's how I wrote that chapter. 8 months of
breathlessness. And we moved to the subsequent chapter, and this was your first visit to the mental asylum as a child to meet a friend.
Yeah.
You had a friend in your school gang called Neeta, and Neeta had pretty boyish looks. She was full of fun. I think you had Kiran Bedi in your gang as well.
No, she was senior. She was senior, yeah. We were very we were very, we held them in great adulation.
Okay.
Seniors were seniors. They
So
were beyond approach.
But coming back to Neeta, she had boyish looks and she was full of fun. But then she had this other personality to her where she could sleepwalk, injure herself, and even cut herself with a knife just to miss an exam. And she was sent to the mental asylum where she was assessed to be an alleged lunatic.
Yeah.
You learned much later. You visited her at the asylum, and I read about your condition of fits where she went into and kind of came out of, really. And you met her mother much later and learned that she had died of suicide. You write very poignantly, hers was a cry for help, but medical aid and mental health in India at that time was non-existent. Drastic measures were taken to treat people like her. And you call that chapter The Other Side of Madness.
Yeah, that was a very, it was a very strong, it left a very strong impact on my mind. Having known Neeta, uh, having kind of seen her at close quarters, you know, what she would go through, how she would, how she needed, how she sought attention, and how she would do these drastic, go to these drastic measures to get attention. And she was hugely talented. She was somebody, she was a fabulous actress. She was a wonderful writer. She wrote poetry like, you know, while we were talking, she would just scribble things, and these poems would just flow out of her. And great at debates. She would win all the contests and everything, declamation contests, and somebody who's so talented, for her to be self-destructive, you know, these were elements that I saw early, and we were not prepared. We were a group of 4 or 5 girls. We used to call ourselves the Nirala group. We were great fans of poet Nirala. We were not prepared for. We didn't know what it is to be schizophrenic, to have lesbian tendencies. We had no idea.
Yeah.
We were just so baffled by the whole experience. We were trying to gauge, trying to fathom, trying to assimilate. I remember because I was somebody who's very sensitive to, from the beginning, from the time I was 8, 9, 12, 13, whatever. And this is the 15th year of my school life, right? My life. And this is when I encountered the mental asylum, and I go there and I see what happens. I don't know whether it's real, whether she's putting on an act, but then one was very shaken by the fact that yes, it was partly real. It started off as an act, but it was very real. So those things left a big impact, major. I was sensitized to the world of the mentally disturbed. I was sensitized for life. I mean, I just felt that there is nothing at that time. In her time, there was no help at all. She suffered majorly because there was really no therapies, no psychological. I mean, there was no help at all, really. Maximum they would do is give you an electric shock.
And now let's fast forward. And you went to the mental asylum once again as an adult, and this was to prepare for your role in the movie Unkahi. And once again, you witnessed inhumane treatments. Many years had passed by, but again, we are talking about electroconvulsive shocks, sedative injections as a method of treatment. And you were just an observer to prepare for the movie. And I've seen the movie and saw the wonderful transition from a mentally challenged person to someone becoming natural over time. But how did you feel there when you went back?
I was very nervous. I knew that I had to get into Amol Palekar, who was the director. He had asked me, do not, I checked with him. I'm going to do this role, but I don't know how a person hallucinates, what, you know, all that. I just kind of left it that without, at that point, I didn't think of going back to Neeta and my experience at the asylum in Amritsar. I just felt that here is a much bigger task at hand, and I need to revive my my homework. I mean, do my homework on this. So he said, don't go anywhere near there. There is enough inside. There are enough ghosts inside all of us, all our closets, if we just tap there, they will all come popping out. So there's no need to go externally to pick up tips and do your homework. No, but I went. I went to the Ranchi Mental Hospital, and I the way it impacted me all over again. I remember I wrote about that.
And this is your book, The Silent Screams and Black Wind.
Black Wind.
Black Wind and the group of and other poems.
And then the poems in the end called The Silent Screams.
Silent Screams, yeah.
So again, the same thing came back, and much more, because now I understood, because I had studied abnormal psychology in my college in New York. So I knew, I was just looking at girls there, women there, and trying to focus on how I'm going to play one of them. So how is it for a girl to be hallucinating night after night? She comes out in the corridor and she's dealing with herself. And I've written a lot. You see that in a poem called Feet of Glass. So you go back to that, and of course all that got used in my film Ankahi. Then it got then I used it again in my film Main Zinda Hoon, where she ends up in a mental asylum again in the end of the film.
Okay.
And how she gets taken away by the, she's been sent away to the asylum because she starts losing her sense of reality.
Sure.
Yeah.
You also write about your belief as an actress. So as a child, you had a dilemma. You were so impressed with the Belgian nuns at your convent that you either wanted to become an actress or, if not, a nun.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought these were my two dreams. Of course, I wouldn't undermine romance and other things that happen. And one did, as a girl, one did dream about romance and everything. But my dream was to either be an actress, or if that doesn't work out, I'll become a nun.
Did you get to play a nun in any of your movies at least?
No. I haven't. That hasn't fulfilled yet.
Sister Act in Hindi or something like that.
Yeah, I think I have to start thinking about that now.
About that one.
I have to make it materialize.
So while you initially thought that you were a misfit in the world of cinema, as you come from an academic background, you realize that cinema is actually in your blood. Your grandfather had 3 little boxes reserved in cinema halls only for him. Your mother had stunning black and white photographs and Indu Baya's little stint in the world of films. You now feel that you're a natural born here and spent over 40 years.
Yes. At that time, when I first came here, I thought, oh my God, my parents are teachers. My father is a professor of English in America. What am I? This is really so different. It's so different. I have no background of show business. Though my mother loved drama, and she was, also a art enthusiast in her own way, but and she loved dance and drama and music, but not as a performer. So I felt quite misfit. But gradually, once my uncle told me, your grandfather had these 3 boxes reserved in 3 cinema halls, and every evening when he'd come back from the court after a harrowing day discussing this, that, and the other, he would go into a cinema hall, sit in his little box for a while, see a bit of the film, whatever is running there, and then he would walk back home with Moolchand, uncle we used to call him, with Moolchand, his munshi, and they would discuss the plot of the film. And I said, what? Every day a little bit of a film, whichever film, in whichever cinema. What the hell is going on? Is this my family? Is this my Dadaji, my Bauji? He said, yes, he was a great film enthusiast. So I felt suddenly, no problem. I am, this is where I belong. This is where I should always have been.
And then when you finally got into movies and, did this movie Ek Baar Fir, for which you won the first actress, you say Devika Rani was your mother's favorite actress and the first lady of Indian cinema. your best actress for Ek Baar Phir was presented to you by Devika Rani.
Yes.
What a delightful
I
coincidence.
mean, that was so, there was such serendipity there because I could, my father having known Nicholas Roerich because of Joy of Art,
Yeah.
my mother being a Devika Rani fan all her growing years, and then my first award as best actress is handed over to me on the stage by Devika Rani. I mean, this was like
Unreal.
such magical things.
So we move forward to a fire chat round, after which we open the line up for question and answers. Okay, so here's a fire chat round for you, Deepti. There are various roles and memories of the past that you have documented in the book. Your mind is a steel trap, and the description of these long forgotten roles have been a treat to read. Let's begin with these roles. First of all, you loved polishing the smoke blackened vessels and you looked forward to the Kaliwala,
Yes.
wizardry, and the magic.
Yeah. I mean, it was like magic. It was like a magic show, and I'd look forward to when the Kaliwala is going to he's do some shusha, and then there'll be smoke, and then the vessel will be silvery white on the inside. I mean, it was magic.
So you've written about the dust storm as well, or you call it Nelly. And listen to the kind of precision that sky would change color from pink to deep magenta, finally black, followed by a torrid downpour of rains. And that also would add an element of drama to your life.
Yes. I was very drawn to these dramatic elements which are part of the North Indian landscape. Amritsar had severe weather conditions. It would be horribly hot in the summer and biting cold in the winter, and then there'd be the fall season and the rains and we in Punjabi would call it Neri. Neri means sandstorm, dust storm, right? So these dust storms or the storms were such a integral part of the landscape of Amritsar that I would find everything would change. I would be really waiting for them to happen, because then I'd know that this is going to be followed by there's going to be this lashing rain, and I would run to the terrace and I would sit under the barsati and I would watch the whole scenario, because on the topmost terrace you see other houses and other terraces and the mosque in the back of the house and the minarets and then the clouds, and I mean it would be endless. It would enchant me endlessly. It was always a first time. Every time the cloud, there was this little stir in the air and you heard the cloud, it was like a first time for me. I would run and I'd want to sit under the shed and watch everything in detail. I would want to assimilate and take in every little detail of what's happening. Mama would be calling me, Deepti, come down. I wasn't going to go down. I was going to sit up there and observe and watch and enjoy myself.
So you said when you brought kites, you stood around till you got something a little more out of that kite seller, and that little extra was called chunga. Tell us about that. Chunga. Okay, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, the kids in the neighborhood, they were all these little toddlers. They would all go and stand at Dwarka Das's kite shop and कुछ खरीदते रहते थे. वहाँ पे कुछ toffee, कुछ ये वो, something to chalk and pencil, rubber, everything, apart from kites. And then when he would give us the kite, he would give us whatever we needed, and we would still stand there and say, chunga de, and then he would put something, a little toffee or something extra, one little extra bit in our palm and say, ele, chunga, and then we would run off. Mama saw me do that. Once she says, no chunga unga, you're going to take only what is rightfully yours. You're not going to extend your hand to anybody ever for anything.
I read that part also in the book.
That has been a lesson for life.
Yeah. And let's talk about Jallianwala Bagh. You've gone in there, and that's actually supposed to be a garden. But here it looked like a cemetery, because we are talking, about post-freedom and the kind of war that went in there. You even ran your fingers through the red bricks touching each hole in the wall through which the bullets were pierced through.
Yeah, yeah. My parents finally, when they took us, I'm, I'd always heard about it. I never heard about what had happened there, but I'd known the name was very familiar. I thought it was another garden. There's a company bagh in Amritsar, which was built by the Britishers, and I thought there's a Jallianwala Bagh. So it was a bagh. So when we went there, when my father finally, when we were like girls, we were not kids anymore. We were girls. And when my Pitaji, Piti, when he took us there, I was shocked to see. It was such a gloomy sight. It was like walking into a graveyard. And then my mother and my father explained to us, me and my didi, कि यहाँ गोलियां चली थी, innocent people were killed. They were all, congregated for a jalsa. It was a peaceful demonstration. They were all got together for that, but there was firing by the British, and that's how innocent people died, and so many, I mean, hundreds of people died there, and he took us to the wall. I touched those bricks, and I'm feeling those the goli ka nishan, every spot where it was written goli ka nishan, goli ka nishan. It was such a eye opener for me at that time, and I remember being sitting there. That there were about 2-3 steps. The people were there, niche, and obviously the firing had been done from a little height, so people couldn't get away. And everybody knows Jallianwala tragedy, Jallianwala Bagh incident, and the tragedy, monumental national tragedy, and how I started looking at the history of my city from that point onwards. There was the border, the being a border town, the presence of the impact of the wars, partition, and all those things. And I realized that it was not just the very fancy nuns in school and the Mochika Mohalla in the back, and the contrast between the two environments that I was dealing with. I was placed in a place which had such huge historical importance. And when I started to write this memoir, I realized that, my God, what was I, growing up amidst? There was so much to write about. I mean, once I got to writing about my growing up years in Amritsar, it kept on taking larger and larger dimensions.
Yeah. So that was what you spoke about, your history. But let's speak about you. At the age of 13, you said and you wrote that you did something quite irresponsible. You were so taken aback by a scene on the mountains of Kashmir that you just took a train and wanted to go to Kashmir. But instead, your parents filed a police complaint. You spent a night at the platform and you were returned to your parents safely.
क्या बताना है इसका? It is one of those things which will embarrass you for the rest of your life at the mention, because there is really, there's really no reason. People have reasons to run away from home. I had none. I was a rebel without a cause, and I just wanted to see the mountains. I wanted to see Kashmir, because every film, there are all these beautiful songs of, all those, what are those songs? O.P. Nayar's music, and all those songs of Shami Kapoor, Asha Parekh, Sadhna, Rajinder Kumar. Everybody is forever in Kashmir, and Dal Lake and the Chinar trees and the shikara rides and everything. So Kashmir was it was a fixation in my head. I was just about 13, and my mind was fixated on Kashmir. I just wanted to go to Kashmir. And how is one going to do that? So without thinking, I left home, bought myself a ticket. I knew that you go to Pathankot first, and from there you take a bus which takes you to Srinagar. That's all I knew. So I take off. I go sit in this train. I go to Pathankot, and that's where I get caught, because here is a schoolgirl landing up on this deserted platform. And where is she to go? Kashmir जा रही हूँ मैं, तो मैं बस में जाऊंगी. They said कोई बस नहीं जाती इस टाइम पे, चलिए अंदर वापस. And they put me in a ladies waiting room, and then there was this lady, the caretaker there, who really God is up there. He's looking after me. He's looking, to kind of protecting me up there. Nothing, no ugly mishap, nothing. And came back home. But it's not easy for me to talk about that. Most stupid thing of my life, really, was without thinking what I'm putting my parents
True, yeah.
Can't even think about that side of it.
But anyway, now that's a memory behind you, and every memory has a lesson that we learn from it. So with this, everyone, we wind up with the book discussion as such, and I wouldn't even have covered 1/4 or 1/5 of the book. Deepti's book is very diverse, it's thoughtful, it's intense. With this, we open up to question and answers. So, Matilda, if you're still here, you can unmute and ask a question. Matilda has commented that you look very cute with your, you'll make a very cute nun, as your calm and serene looks and a soft voice, and she looks forward to the movie where you'd be a nun. So Matilda, are you here?
Yes, Reena, I'm here.
Can we spot Matilda?
Matilda, please put on your video.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Yes.
Hi, Deepti. Hi, Reena. It's been wonderful to listen to you, and it's so exciting, to go through what you say, all that you've been telling us about. And, it's, for me, I feel sort of I'm living it myself, listening to you and your adventures, your childhood.
I'm so glad.
And yeah, all of it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Could we have Austin Lobo, please? Could we have Austin Lobo if you would like to ask a question? I believe he's in US.
Austin, can we have you switch on your audio and video?
A few words from you.
Yes, just a minute. Here
One
we
minute,
go.
Austin. There you are.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
No, I don't have any questions. I'm just listening. It's morning here, and it's been fascinating to hear you speak, Ms. Naval.
Thank you.
I've watched you many years ago in, I think it was Junoon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My first film. I hardly have a role. You have to look hard to spot me in the film.
Yeah, so it's a pleasure to hear you and to watch you.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you. Which part of...
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
You can go ahead and speak, Deepti, please.
Deepti, please.
Where do you...
Where am I?
Please. Yeah, where are
you? I'm in Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay, Delaware. Okay, yeah.
We have the next question directly. You typed your question, Pragya, but happy to have you ask you in person.
1 minute.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, give me a minute.
Thanks, Reena. Thanks, Preeta. Thanks, Deepti. It was so nice to hear you, and your story is really amazing, and you've really inspired us so much through all your movies. Just wanted to know, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from life so far?
Oh, I keep on learning lessons, because I keep on making mistakes over and over again, and life, the only thing I can say is what I learned was, though I've been spent years looking back in order to write this memoir, which is my childhood memoir, but the thing that one has really learned is to live in the moment, live in the moment, because there are a lot of there, you know, you tend to, there can be a lot of regret, and that is something that can cause you a lot of pain and angst. So I think to avoid that, to stay afloat, you have to just remember to live in the moment and live it fully and most sincerely, and then there is a little less regret, because there is no getting away from regret otherwise.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Manoj Neil, can we have you ask your question? Please unmute and ask your question. Manoj Neil.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. My question is to Madam Deepti, and it's been a pleasure listening to her recount her experiences.
Thank you.
I was I was taken back to my childhood when I saw most of your movies. You know, a lot of the middle of the road movies, as we called it then. You know,
Yes.
Farooq Sheikh,
Yes.
Amol Palekar. So I wanted, and since you've acted quite often with Farooq Sheikh, and he's also an actor whom I really admire. I want to know from the inside, what are your experiences? What are your fond memories of working with Farooq Sheikh?
I've always talked about Farooq. We were very comfortable working with each other. I did my maximum number of films with Farooq. I did a few films with Naseer. I worked with Omji also, but with Farooq, there was we had a great comfort level with each other. Okay. Since I knew him, his family, his wife, you know, we were friends. We were friends off screen also, in the sense that our friendship was also a personal friendship, right. Because I was so fond of them. I think as a co-actor, we had great screen chemistry. Right. Yeah. Because none of us was in awe of the other. We started out together. We treated each other equally. We helped do our scenes together. We helped each other get the scene right. We were not up against each other ever.
Yeah. It was an equal.
It was more camaraderie between the two of us. Yeah.
And his Hindi was marvelous, right? His Urdu.
Yes. Oh, he was a voracious reader, because he'd always be in his hand. Okay. When I first published my book of short stories, he and we were shooting for Listener Maya. And before my editor would come during lunchtime, but before I would give her this final version of the story, I would give it to Farooq first. He would read it during lunch hour, and then he would get back, you know, he would say, okay.
All right.
Give it, it's fine, yeah, give it.
Okay, yeah. It's wonderful to be able to speak to you in person. Thank you so much for your time, madam. Yeah. And hope you have a more successful career ahead of you. Look forward to it.
I think we have Goldfish releasing, no, Deepti?
Yes, Goldfish is the next film. The only film which is coming after my book.
And I think premiered at one international awards. Was it in Berlin? International.
It's gone to various festivals, and we are looking forward now.
Okay. Thank you, Manoj. We have Sahana Sundar next. Sahana Sundar.
Hi, Deepti. It was a pleasure listening to you. And I was a great fan of yours when I was a child. I liked all your movies. And my question to you is, I would like to listen to poetry of yours, which is very close to your heart.
I wouldn't have it here.
No.
How would I?
Sahana,
okay, even if Reena can.
What we'll do is I can send.
I will recite 2 lines. The only 2 lines that I remember by heart. Otherwise, I need to read from my books. It's in Hindi. It's from my first collection of poems called Lamha Lamha. जब बहुत कुछ कहने को जी चाहता है ना, जब बहुत कुछ कहने को जी चाहता है ना, तब कुछ भी कहने को जी नहीं चाहता.
It was very nice. Thank you so much. I would like to, what I wanted was, you told me that you wrote a poetry about mental health. Okay.
Yes.
You can, yes. You can just send me that poetry.
Yeah. I'll try.
And I'll send it.
Find it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really chilling, and you'll have goosebumps. And it's one thing when Deepti writes poetry, but it's another thing when she speaks it out. And I think she's called for the book right now. But let's call in the next person, and we'll come back to her at this point in time.
Thank you so much, Deepti, for giving.
She's coming back to you, Sahana. Until then, we'll have Cecilia online. Cecilia?
Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Deepti ma'am.
Hi.
Cecilia here. It was lovely listening to you.
Thank you.
My question is about a lesser known fact, not about the books or movies. I've seen that you produced a show called The Paths Less Traveled.
The Path Less Traveled, yes.
Traveled, yeah. So I would like to know, like, what was your inspiration? Do you travel a lot?
Yes, I'm absolutely an outdoor sort of a person. When I come back here and I have to stay at home in Bombay for a few weeks, then I want to run again. And this has been a trait since childhood. You know, my running away is
You bet.
it's well-known fact now. So I love going on hikes, and I love trekking, and my safaris also. I miss my safaris now because I haven't been, the book has kept me stay put in one place for 5 years. Of course, part of it was in Himachal. I was, I was sitting there writing, but I love the outdoors. I love Black Wind. I can't find Black Wind. Another time I will do the recitation for you from that poetry. But yes, I'm a great nature lover. So anything to get me out, any excuse, and I want to be out there somewhere where there is no roof on my head. I want to sleep on a terrace where I can look at the stars every night and not look at the ceiling or the fan.
Same here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was lovely.
We have a person logged in the name of Redmi 10 Prime. You can come online and ask your question. Okay, so the next we have is Elena Smith. The next question from Elena Smith.
Oh, I was waiting for my turn. Thank you, Deepti.
Hi, Elena.
As a little girl, I've admired you, and I said, if there's one actress, if I want to become an actress, I want to become an actress like Deepti.
Oh, how nice.
Your simplicity and your charming smile, and you kept me smiling, though you had a small role in Junoon. But I followed you one film after the other. And today I find such a wonderful connection. You're an artist, you're a writer, and I want to get there with you. And you're still looking so charming, and you're still so beautiful. I'm waiting to see you as a nun. Okay.
That is something that
I'm waiting to see you act as a nun, not as a nun. Thank you so much. And thank you, Reena, and everyone here.
Thank you, Elena. Reena, I got the book.
Yeah, you got the book. Can we spotlight Sahana back, please?
Yeah.
For that question.
I'm going to try and read.
Sahana, I know you asked me to read, but I would not do justice. Anyway.
1 minute, I'm not able to find Sahana.
It's okay, Reena. Thank you so much, Deepti, that you got the book and you're ready to read.
So this is the book called Black Wind and Other Poems.
Yeah.
And there's a section in here which is at the end of the book. It's called Silent Scream. And these are 24 poems about women that I encountered in the mental asylum, various mental asylums actually, not one. And I wrote about them. One of the poems I would like to read here is called Out Alone. She stands at one end of the veranda. A naked bulb glows at the other end, staining the dark floor with dull yellow light. Beyond the empty ward drag echoes of the autumn night. From pillar to pillar in severe silence, skulk slithering shadows. Out alone in the cold she stands night after night, fighting her demons. Her body frail and brittle, flaps leaf-like on two glass feet. The torched face broken, then packed together so bluntly, the ragged joints show. Hounded eyes that do not blink. Frozen in a death-like glaze, her fragile spirit splintered. These are not the features she was born with. These are not the features she was born with. This is the face we gave her.
Super, super. Very touching. Very nice. Thank you so much.
You must read the whole book, Savannah. I was touched. One poem after the other. It was really moving.
Yeah.
It's available.
I'll purchase this book.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
I'm
much.
proud to have an autographed copy. This was in Bangalore, and really it's been my treasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sahana. We now move to Elizabeth George. Elizabeth George for the next question.
It's not really a question. I just wanted to compliment Deepti on a wonderful interview. You're so well spoken and sensitive. I was particularly moved listening to your visit to Jallianwala Bagh, and right now listening to your poem. It's wonderful. I must also tell you, recently your book was discussed in my college group chat, Elphinstone College in Bombay.
Which one? A Country Called Childhood?
Yes.
Okay.
And they spoke particularly about the move from Burma to Bombay. I mean to Amritsar.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So
Right.
thank you. This has been a wonderful interview, and thank you, Reena, too.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Do we have Tia Rosalind PS for the next question?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah, it was really very inspiring, actually. And yes, as a child, yes, I have seen your movies, and you, along with Farooq sir, is my favorite. Really very inspiring session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
I'm
all
glad
the
to see
best and
that.
congrats for your memoir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. With this, we conclude. As we can see, Deepti is she's articulate in her descriptions, be it in prose and poetry. Would recommend that you pick up the book, but I must tell you one thing. I'm a very quick reader, a fast reader, but this book is different. It is diverse, it is exhaustive, it is written in elaborate detail, and as Elizabeth even said, it is intense, perceptive, sensitive as a child to her past. Would recommend that you pick up the book at Bookworm, Bangalore. And Krishna, I can see that you've logged on. Would you want to come on and say a few words? Can we spotlight Krishna? Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I request Deepti madam to visit us and sign few copies. Your books are bestseller in Bangalore, and it's a very, very well acclaimed book too. We request you to, whenever you are come in Bangalore, please visit Bookworm and sign few
I will
copies.
do that. I will make it a point to do that. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krishna.
For the event.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have PPDC Events technology partner to say a few words? Reena Pereira.
Okay, hi, I'm very happy to host this event. And I have been in Bollywood and a Bollywood dreamer for years. I think I've seen Deepti ji as a child, and I was always amazed by her simplicity, like everyone says. Like, I was amazed at how that era of heroines didn't do too much tamjam, as we call it here, you know, and they could just communicate a whole song with their eyes. They would just walk and look and sing a whole song. And it is just so fascinating how today we have so much of effects and after effects, and you know, we still cannot bring that moment to life the way the people of yesteryears did. And I think it is just beautiful. We are so happy to have you, Deepti, and I'm glad to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Reena. Thank you. It's been lovely.
Thank you. Any
Very
closing
glad.
comments? Any closing comments?
Reena, Monica here. Just to, could I speak?
Yes,
Just
yes,
to
yes.
say congratulations to ma'am.
Hold on.
Okay,
Hold
that's
on,
all I
Monica.
wanted to say. Yeah, just
Hold on,
wanted to
Monica.
say congrats. Yes?
We'll spotlight you. Hold on. You can
No,
speak.
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. Congratulations and all the best. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, for sharing your thoughts. Deepti, any final comments to the audience here?
All I want to say to people who are, sort of who have watched me as an actor all these years. Sometimes what happens is people not confuse, but they like to believe that the persona on screen is who the actors really are in real life. But I want to say this, that if you want to even feel a little iota of get to know a little iota of who I really am, you must read what I write. Please do read. Thank you so much, because that way you will come to know a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Deepti. That was a very apt ending. We've seen Deepti acting, we've seen so much of her, but read her writings, be it prose or be it poetry, you will be amazed. I've yet to see your paintings. Even the back of your book has your mother's painting, Himadri Naval, against the masjid adjacent to your house, and yet to see yours. We see some of it online at times, but please do read her book.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for being here today. Have a good evening.
Bye.